somebody who's like relatively new in your life is having this sort of surreal realization that like even when everything in their life is like bleak or falling apart in some way, like in the past they would have completely collapsed in some way, okay? Like this person like I don't know. It's just that they if a similar situation would have happened and you were not in their life at this time, they would have fallen apart severely. Like, I don't know. I won't really like get into the energy, I guess. But, and like there has been a pattern of this throughout their life of them not like necessarily handling certain heavy circumstances the best. And now they're recognizing a difference. Like regardless of how bad things get or how they bad things feel, they always like in the back of their mind there's like this echo of like, oh, at least I have the collective, or like, oh, they're still able to smile and stuff like that because like they think of something that you said or you did, or just like even just like thinking about your energy or whatever makes them smile even in the midst of whatever is like falling apart for them, okay? And this could be you who feels this way about something in your life to where, and maybe you've like never actually had this experience before in your whole life where you actually have something that's so like solid and secure and emotionally fulfilling in every way that it doesn't really matter what is happening outside of you. You still feel almost euphoric because you have it is giving that it's like a person, but it could just be that you finally like lean back into some form of a passion creatively or something like that, into where it like it's giving like, say you're like stranded at sea, okay, and then there's like a storm, right? And then, whatever this thing is kind of like the buoy that appears out of nowhere that you can just like strap yourself to and like chill or whatever, and then it has like, I don't know, some like protein dense food and like fresh filtered water and like a heated sleeping bag, and so you can just kind of like chill until you like float to shore indefinitely or whatever. Like that's what it's giving, okay? And I'm also getting, okay, um, there's something about like I don't know, hold on, a masculine energy, or even like okay, hold on, see if someone's like parking next to me. Okay, so it's giving like uh one or both parties, okay, like, oh, would this person actually love me if I didn't have what I have now in the way of like finances or one's looks, or you know being unsure if like the other person would fully accept them for like imperfections that they have, either like physically or otherwise. And it's giving like this deep realization and inner knowing and like assure I don't know, some form of like assurance settling in that like yes, this is actually unconditional in some way, okay? And like there's sort of like this preparation for like the worst case scenario on one side, like, oh, if I like never look better than this, would they still love me even if I like, you know, whatever, if I'm like unable to become fitter than I am now, or like if I'm unable to become richer than I am now. And there's like this acceptance of like, yeah, even if like I am exactly the way I am right now, this person will still like love me forever or whatever. And like even if I like, even like fell off a little bit, this person would still love me. I think that's the important thing, is that like even if they had slightly less than what they have now, they deeply believe that you would. And I don't get like the treatment would be the same, because it's giving like, someone who, if they weren't like wealthy or whatever, they would still like get creative about the ways in order to make you feel like you were being spoiled in some way, if that makes sense. But however, I was getting this download that for this collective, like, um, you guys have already like, okay, but it's giving like you guys have either already lived lifetimes together where you guys loved each other through poverty and stuff like that, or how everything's kind of happening at the same time. Because I kind of like saw this in a dream too, where like not even that you guys were impoverished or anything, it's just that you like had a comfortable like normal life. It wasn't like luxurious or anything, but you guys still were like happy together. But this is not like, you're not currently in the reality where you're going to experience that. You are going to like like the big lofty dreams are coming true in this reality because there's something about like you needing those resources in order to like help to create things or whatever that will be a positive influence on the culture and society at large in some way, right? So it's like, not like wealth for wealth's sake, but wealth that will be used to help and heal, But there's something about like the acceptance, like the true acceptance that you would like love one another unconditionally, regardless of what you had materially or something like that, is what unleashes the abundance, you know? Like if things were conditional, truly, like if you truly were like, I wouldn't actually love this person if they didn't have money, then that's probably not your person. And also, you may not even have a person because yeah, or like you can have a person, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this message just isn't for you. You may not be like a divine counterpart because divine counterparts like genuinely they like treat each other well. It's like your emotional fulfillment is always there regardless of if the finances are not there. Like it's like you wouldn't be, you know what I mean? Like you know how some masculines can become really toxic because they're insecure financially, or like some feminines can become really insecure because or they can become toxic because they're insecure like about their like appearance or something. It's giving that you guys would not be toxic regardless of what you like looked like or what you had. You would still feed into each other like in a fairy tale romance type of way. And like say like fairy tale romance type of connections are not fake or imaginary because the individuals who are actually like capable of maintaining that energy and like grounding that fairy tale esque energy into the physical are being paired up together so that it can like actually materialize in this reality. Obviously, if like the princess archetype is with some like I don't know, like some like toxic vampiric ass energy or whatever, then obviously that's like that's like a horror story. It's not unless like the vampire is like cool or whatever. I'm not gonna sit here and say all vampires are toxic, but you know what I mean. It's just like the sense that if it's a bad match, then obviously fairy tale is impossible, right? Um, but if there's like two energies who are able to hold that frequency, then why wouldn't that be possible? You know what I mean? And so it's getting that like the rare gems or whatever, if you want to consider it like as that. And I don't think it's going to be as rare as we like perceive it to be as time goes on. Um, but it's like I guess the rare gems who are able to actually like make those sort of like fairy tale happily ever after stories actually come true are being paired up and put together and like put in community with one another, um because that's what they deserve and that's what has been like manifested within the collective. And again, I guess this is like a message that keeps coming out in all my videos today, but it's something about like there's certain people and like I don't know, there's certain like individuals who need to be in that happily ever after energy in order to feel safe to create things that will go on to like help and heal the world and stuff like that. So yes, some things that are perceived as highly unlikely are that like individuals who are like stuck in a trap of like hyper rationalism or like you know um or like I don't know, they like say is impossible or highly unlikely or whatever. All like a lot of those things are coming true because they need to come true for the sake of no longer feeding into systems that benefit from individuals being anxious and depressed and like stuck in a cycle within like relationships and careers that only drain them and like don't allow them to actually like create and like foster growth on a wider scale or whatever.